Perfect.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, hello, my name is Marina Andrades of Estenda, the trade promotion agency of Andalusia. Estenda is a company owned by Andalusia's regional government, which is dedicated to the international promotion of Andalusian products and the expansion of Andalusian business in foreign markets. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be part of this seminar to talk about the renewable energy in the United States. We have the opportunity to have three great experts in this field today. They are Rick Navarro, Carolina Núñez, and Thad McGuire. At the end, after the presentation, we will have a time for questions. In the meantime, you can write the question in the chat. And it's a great delight to have with me today our New York office director, Michael Whiting, and he will continue with the presentation. Thank you all for attending this event. So, Michael,
well,
the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marina, for your kind introduction. Yes, as Marina mentioned, my name is Michael Whiting, Director of Extenda in New York, and it is a real pleasure being here. And of course, I would like to thank our audience for attending this webinar. Today, we will learn about key aspects to renewable energy success in the United States. As we know, renewable energy is a very strategic sector in the US, and President Biden is ready for a clean energy revolution, and his administration is facilitating an investment plan of $400 billion over the next 10 years in this sector, with a clear objective of reducing CO2 emissions by half in 2035. This administration really thinks that the US has the opportunity to build a more resilient and sustainable economy. And for that, the United States will need international partnerships and collaborations. So this is clearly an open business opportunity for Andalusian companies related to this sector. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our three keynote speakers. Our first presenter is Zach McGuire, Director of Smart Energy at Columbus Partnership in the state of Ohio. Zach is an economist with a master's degree in climate science for Northern Arizona University. He's an expert in the solar, clean tech, and smart mobility sectors, and he had the opportunity to visit Malaga as one of our international guests for Green Cities 2019. Today, Zach will speak about business opportunities and the current situation of the solar sector in the state of Ohio. Our second presenter is Rick Navarro, CEO of Renewable Ocean Energy Incorporated. Rick is doctor in philosophy. He graduated magna cum laude from Vanderbilt University. He's an inventor. He has 5 patents, 14 inventions, more than 140 publications. He's the author of the book Resurrection of the Blue Planet. He is severely hearing impaired since childhood, but he completed his bachelor's degree, his master's, and his PhD in 6.5 years. With over 40 years of successful management and entrepreneurial experience, Mr. Navarro is an expert in hydropower and ocean energy, and he will present today an overview of hydroelectricity on the ocean and its business opportunities. And last but not least, we have Carolina Núñez, Corporate Counsel of Bayway Solar Projects in New York. Carolina is from Seville. She's a lawyer and a Master of Laws from Columbia University Law School in New York. She was granted with the Talentia Fellowship Program by the Ministry of Economy and Innovation from Andalusia that provides postgraduate scholarships to students with outstanding excellence to study abroad in selected institutions. Carolina works as corporate counsel at Bayway Solar since 2019, and prior to that, she was corporate counsel for 7 years at Grupo Agbi, a multinational group in Spain. Today, in her presentation, Carolina will explain the legal framework related to renewable energy industry, business opportunities and threats, and practical takeaways for companies interested in approaching the US market. So, we know that climate change cannot wait. So we also cannot wait to start learning from our experts. So without further ado, please welcome Zach McGuire. Zach, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate you and the team at Extenda providing me the opportunity to speak today. You mentioned my trip to Malaga, and it was truly an incredible experience, and I'm thrilled to be back in front of folks from that region of the country. So as Michael mentioned, I'll be speaking to my home state of Ohio in the United States. As you can see here on the map, I did want to do some level setting with you, so you know where Ohio is on the map and where Columbus is. Columbus, Ohio, the city that we operate in is the capital city of Ohio, the largest city in Ohio of about 1 million people, about 2.3 million people in the Columbus region. My organization and the Columbus Partnership, we represent the Columbus region and its economic development. So our organization's primary function is economic development, really talking to companies and people like yourselves who are looking at opportunities, business opportunities in the United States, but today specifically talking about the growing clean energy demand and specifically solar demand in Columbus and Ohio, and the business opportunities that exist there. So, getting into a little bit more about the Columbus region, we do talk about Columbus as a region, not just a city. So the Columbus region, as I mentioned, we are the 14th largest city in the United States. We do in the region, however, have over 2 million people. We are the only city and region in Ohio that has consistently grown for the past 20 years. So a lot of younger people and a lot of growth in our region, a lot of people moving to Ohio. From a business perspective, logistically, we are in an incredible position to access the United States market. About half of the entire US population is within a 10-hour drive of Columbus. We are also in about a 10-mile drive of 33% of the Canadian population as well. So Columbus has incredible access to the entire US market. We are very centrally located. A little bit more about Columbus, very diverse population. We have over 16 Fortune 1,000 companies here located, of which a majority are Fortune 500 companies, including the 14th largest company in the United States, Cardinal Health. We are also the largest employer of JP Morgan Chase, one of the largest banks here in Columbus. We also have major sports teams, including soccer or football. We've got a great team in the Columbus Crew who just won the MLS Cup, and I know not the same level of competition as most of you are accustomed to, but we're very proud of that team. We also have great American football, golf, professional hockey, the NHL, and professional baseball here. So great sports community, but also a great sort of fun community here in Columbus. But to get in more about the topic of today's conversation, clean energy, solar, what does the market look like for us here in Columbus and in Ohio, the state? Sorry about that. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the demand for renewable energy. So Ohio has an incredible amount of automotive companies. Honda, Ford, General Motors, Nissan, Toyota, all of these companies are represented in our state and more specifically even in our region. So the image you see here on this slide is the 11 counties that make up the Columbus region. We have a high density of automotive manufacturers and auto suppliers to the OEMs. Over 22,000 Ohioans just in the Columbus area are employed in the automotive sector. Why this is important, as I imagine there are some automotive companies on the call today, but also automotive companies are on the leading edge of demanding renewable energy or requiring renewable energy for their future facilities. That has created a lot of demand for solar power here in Ohio in the Columbus region. And the automotive industry is a large force behind that demand and creating that demand for solar power here in our area. A little bit more detail about the clean energy industry broadly. Ohio is actually, as a state, we have the 8th most clean energy jobs in the entire country. Over 114,000 people in Ohio are employed in the clean energy industry. So that's not just solar, that's solar, wind, energy efficiency, demand response, and other clean vehicles, so automotive. A lot of these jobs are located in our region. So what you're seeing on the right here, this table represents all the people that are employed in the clean energy industry in our 11 counties that make up the Columbus region. So we have a lot of employment in the clean energy industry. However, with the increasing demand for solar and renewable energy, we are looking to bring in new jobs to the Columbus region in the clean energy space. So as Michael alluded to, if you're a company that is working in the clean energy space, we are actively looking to grow the amount of jobs in the Columbus area on that front. I talked about the automotive industry being a large reason why there's so much demand for renewable energy. But all companies are really, all types of companies are demanding renewable energy. I mentioned that our organization's job is to recruit companies to set up shop in Columbus. So bringing new jobs, both from national companies and international companies like yours. Our job is to bring you to Columbus. And in fact, many companies that we have been recruiting lately, especially in the electric vehicle and electric vehicle supply chain space, have been requiring renewable energy for their facilities. So again, a lot of demand is increasing. We are seeing increasing demand for renewable energy here in Columbus. Some interesting statistics are we are currently recruiting 19 companies that all are asking for 100% renewable energy. These are massive companies. Think Ford and other large companies. We're recruiting them to set up their new electric vehicle operations here in Columbus. The project investment, so the actual investment that these companies are looking to invest in the community through new facilities and jobs, is over $18 billion US, and also equating to about 22,000 new jobs. So again, I'm telling you this for two reasons, really. One, our job is to be the recruiter to bring new companies to Columbus, and we love to recruit clean energy companies. The second reason I tell you this is, again, this is building up the demand for renewable energy in Ohio and Columbus. So with knowing that demand is increasing at an exponential rate for renewable energy in Columbus and in Ohio, let me tell you about the solar industry specifically. So we have a lot of solar projects that are going on in our region. The map on the right here, those red dots show all the companies in Central Ohio that are demanding renewable energy. And the bigger the dot, the more employees that company has. The green squares that you see on the map represent the different solar projects that are planned for the Columbus region. We currently have a lot of solar projects in the pipeline, and those jobs that would be created by the solar projects are over 7,000 construction jobs. So we, again, have a lot of companies asking and requiring renewable energy, solar energy for their facilities and operations. And we are currently developing those solar projects to meet the demand. A little bit more about that topic. Ohio in general, the entire state, which you see here in the image, Columbus is right in the middle of the state there. But because of all this demand, the solar industry is scaling up very rapidly. Ohio has not had as much development in this space as other states like California or Massachusetts, New York. So we are experiencing our solar scale right now. So as of last year, there were only 350 megawatts of installed solar projects in the state. However, the image that you see on the right shows all of the projects that are currently in development, which equates to 6.5 gigawatts of solar capacity that is going to be installed over the next 5 years. About a third of that, actually over a third of that, 2.49 gigawatts of that new solar capacity that is going to be installed is actually going to be installed in the Columbus area. So Columbus and the state of Ohio as a whole are seeing a massive, massive scale of solar projects, and that is going to supply a lot of the demand. However, what that also means is that there is incredible opportunity with the massive adoption of solar in Columbus and Ohio. There's opportunity to bring companies in to supply solar panels and all of the supply chain components that make up a solar panel or a racking system. Research and development that goes into that. I should also say we're actively recruiting electric vehicle companies and supply chain companies. But I wanted to point out before I close here, Ohio does have an incredible history of solar manufacturing. The largest solar manufacturer in the United States is located in Ohio. That manufacturer is First Solar that you see on the right. We're also home to one of the largest solar racking companies in Equilibrium Solar. And we also have one of the largest glass manufacturers for solar panels in Glass Tech, which is located near First Solar, actually, in northern Ohio. As a whole, however, because of all of this energy or all of this solar power demand and all of the projects that are in the pipeline, there is just incredible opportunity if you are a solar or solar related company, electric vehicle company, to work in Ohio and work in Columbus. We currently have 88 solar manufacturers here in the state, 59 different installers and developers. So there is a lot of, there's a very healthy build out of the solar industry here in Ohio. And we'd love to encourage you to think about Columbus, Ohio, as a potential opportunity for your company to do business in the United States in the clean energy industry. So thank you to Extenda again and Michael and the team for having me here today. But that is the close of my presentation. So thank you very much.
Very impressive, Zach, truly. So thank you so much for your presentation. We will have question and answers at the end, as we said. And now we have Rick Navarro. Rick, please.
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Rick Navarro, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this exciting program. The recent energy crisis in Texas documents that it's time to re-examine our energy options. Solar, wind, natural gas, nuclear, geothermal, none of these are green. Renewable energy is not green, it's blue. The magic of electricity will help the people around the world live healthier and achieve more by removing harmful toxins in the air, pumping fresh water, provide better jobs and a lower cost of living. Unfortunately, the absence of power is not confined to other countries. Over 15,000 Navajo Indian homes and many people in Appalachia do not have electricity. In 2017, 6.7 million Americans could not pay their electric bills, and COVID-19 has put many more people into poverty. Renewable energy must be accessible and affordable. 62% of the coal in the world is used to produce electricity, and this contributes to climate change with air pollution, despite very expensive attempts to make coal clean. Yet energy is the key to economic development. Worldwide, consumers spend 38% of their income on energy costs. Solar and wind have stepped into this gap because they were the only viable solution until now. Our energy competitors have multiple problems. If there's no sun, there's no power. If there's no wind, there's no power. They destroy the electric grid and they cost too much. In Texas, wind is 8 cents per kilowatt. Solar ranges from 14 cents in Hawaii to 75 cents in Canada. Batteries add more cost. Chernobyl and Fukushima both proved nuclear power devastation. Traditional hydroelectric power, like the Three Gorges Dam in China, flooded over 400 square miles of land, displaced millions of people, and destroyed cultural artifacts. Per capita, Spain is the 6th largest consumer of energy in the European Union, but must import most of its energy. Spain set a renewable energy target of 20% by 2020, and with almost 5,000 kilometers of coastline, a paradigm shift to blue energy makes that goal possible and affordable. In Spain, electricity costs 149 euros per megawatt. What if we could reduce that cost to 66 euros? The people of Spain would save 83 euros for every megawatt consumed. Those savings go right back into the economy for food, healthcare, housing, or just for fun. We've blended 3 technologies that have been proven to work for hundreds of years and made them better to create a simple, effective powerhouse. Poseidon Hydroelectric produces electricity on any water source, without a dam, without environmental hazards, and without batteries. A siphon lifts the water and delivers it to a hydraulic ram to amplify the pressure to the equivalent of 162 feet or 49 meters of dam, but there is no dam. After producing electricity, the water is recycled unharmed to the source. For some reason, this slide does not transfer well, but this slide is a table of renewable energy challenges from the Clean Energy Initiative, and it compares major sources of electricity production. On this slide, unfortunately, which doesn't show up here, Poseidon scores 99 out of 100. Traditional hydroelectric is next at 80, but solar and wind are in the 20s. So let's compare. In Texas, wind ranges from 5 to 8 cents per kilowatt. while Poseidon is less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Poseidon doesn't need batteries. It has a small land footprint and delivers power directly to the electric grid at a constant frequency, so you don't need special circuitry. Wind only works when the wind blows about 45% of the time. Just 3 days without wind and batteries can be depleted. Wind turbines are often located far from population centers, so the power must be transmitted over long distances at high cost. Offshore wind is even more expensive, and wind turbines can freeze up in cold weather. In contrast, Poseidon can be sited close to population centers. Poseidon works 24/7 and can be adjusted up or down as needed to meet consumer demand. Poseidon provides the power you need when you need it the most. Poseidon works on the 70% of the Earth's surface that is covered with water at a production cost of 3 cents a kilowatt. 24/7 operation without batteries and the ability to adjust to meet peak demands. Poseidon protects the environment as it eliminates the hazards of a dam, eliminates the risk of fossil or nuclear pollution, and does no harm to marine life or the environment. Every 100 megawatts of Poseidon power reduces 50 tons of carbon emissions. By 2015, we had 2 patents in wave energy before we found a better solution. In 2016, we demonstrated our working laboratory prototype to 40 business leaders and engineers from the Grapevine Chamber of Commerce and the Dallas County Utility District. We won first prize in the Fort Worth Business Plan competition and presented at the International Power Generation Summit in Tampa, Florida. We received Texas Environmental Quality Board approval and were chosen for the U.S.-Canadian Trade Mission on renewable energy. In 2019, Poseidon was vetted by the National Oceanographic Administration Agency, and we received our 3rd patent. In 2021, we submitted our 4th patent for improved efficiency and patent protection. And in January, at the World Renewable Energy Conference in Noida, India, Poseidon was described as mind-boggling by the conference organizers. We'll use our proposed Gulf of Mexico demonstration unit to sell to utilities, U.S. and foreign governments, and private users. While it can take 10 to 12 years to complete traditional hydroelectric power plants, Poseidon's modular components will be built in the factory to reduce time and costs while creating jobs. The savings from Poseidon's lower energy costs will inject cash into the local economy. If you build a better mousetrap, the world will come, but you've got to tell the world about it. There are so many ways of getting new customers, but our product is not a direct consumer product, so we must address the right people. People at utility companies and governments and large utility users. Marketing is the key. Conferences will generate professional referrals. Social media will generate excitement and lead to person-to-person contacts. We're over 15,000 contacts on LinkedIn. Media will give the lowest cost per contact and lead to exponential growth. We presented at the Hydropower and will present at Kathy Ireland's Fox Business News show in October as part of National Energy Awareness Month. We've blended centuries of proven technology with the water that covers the planet to create the next generation of hydroelectricity. I'm Dr. Rick Navarro from Renewable Ocean Energy, where renewable energy is not green, it's blue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rick. A very interesting presentation. And now, please, Carolina, it is your turn. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much to Michael and to Extenda for giving me the opportunity to share my experience in the renewable energy industry in the US. As Michael mentioned in the presentation, I'm from Seville, so I'm thrilled to be here sharing experience with you, with companies of my region. I'm gonna try to summarize the main opportunities and threats that I see in the market in the US right now. For that, I will explain briefly what we do at BayWa. We are a renewable energy company. We are present in 27 countries. I work for America, where what we do is to develop and build projects of renewable energy, both wind and solar. And we also do solar distribution and to develop solar solutions for different energy problems that companies and other industries face. I work only for the solar segment, so my experience and what I'm going to share with you today is based on that, on the solar market. And then, well, opportunities and threats. I think that today, as Michael mentioned in the presentation, with Biden's plan, we expect a clean energy revolution, as he said, and it's a great opportunity for companies from all over the world to take advantage of those opportunities. I'm a corporate counsel at BayWa, so I'm more focused on the legal part of the business, but I think that there's a lot of new legislation that is currently being discussed in the US that will help to the development of the industry from a commercial point of view. One of the most interesting measures that I have seen in the US in compared with other countries is the investment tax credits or the production tax credit. What is that? It's a reduction in the income tax that currently is at 26% of the amount that you invest or in a project, or the amount that you product, the amount of the production of a certain project. So that is direct investment and direct money, because it involves that you can recover between 26 and 28 of your investment in a renewable energy project. And this applies not only to large-scale utility projects, but also to small projects, residential and commercial. And you may say, okay, that sounds great, but if I'm new in the country, for example, starting to do business in the US, I don't have enough income tax in order to benefit of this measure. For that, there is a huge market developed in the US, that is the tax equity market. There are big companies and banks that invest in the renewable energy projects in exchange for these tax credits. And this has been a huge revolution, I will say, in the industry, in the country, because from 2006, that was the year when this regulation was enacted, the industries has grown 52% each year. So, and in my experience, this means that you can get financing for your projects, because there are a lot of banks and financing institutions that are willing to finance your projects in exchange for these tax credits. So that is the main opportunity that I see in the market for those companies that want to develop and build new renewable energy projects. And this applies to the whole country, because the US is very big, and it's important to know what is applicable to the whole country or only to certain states. The next opportunity that I see in the market is the change that it seems that we are going to have in the tariff that apply to certain imports on materials that are used for the renewable energy projects, in particular the crystalline silicon photovoltaic cells. Right now, there is a tariff of 18%. That is pretty high, and that has made that the solar panels, for example, in the US, are 50% more expensive than in the global average. These tariffs are set to expire in February 2022. So hopefully, from that moment, it will be more beneficial to sell this kind of equipment from abroad to the US, and it will be much more attractive for US investors in renewable energy projects to acquire products, for example, from Europe or from Spain. And in addition, it's expected there was an exception for bifacial models that was canceled by President Trump. That is expected to be recovered by a decision of the International Trade Court that is expected by the end of this year. So all that will help to foreign companies to sell their products to renewable energy projects in the US. And then the new opportunities to come with this new legislation that is in the Congress and the Senate right now. There are 3 different bills that will affect renewable energy projects, and all of them with very good news for the industry. The first one is that there's going to be an ITC extension, because the ITC, the tax credit regulation, was about to expire, and Biden wants to extend that at least for 10 more years. So that will provide certainty that we have this favorable mechanism in order to finance our projects. In addition, it's going to increase the kind of projects to which this regulation is applicable, and it will be applicable to storage. We have seen with the crisis in Texas that the storage is very needed in the US. So that is one of the goals of this new regulation, to develop the storage projects in the US, and also for transmission and hydrogen. Another interesting measure is that this ITC is going to be, or at least the investors are going to have the possibility to request the direct pay of the tax credits. And that is really helpful, because for companies that are starting in the business that they don't have enough income tax in order to apply those credits, they could request the direct pay, that is direct money to your account in order to develop projects, possibly with a haircut that is a certain reduction in the amount of credits that you can get, but certainly it's a really interesting measure. And then there are other measures also to facilitate the transmission lines and all the right-of-ways that we need to build the transmission lines until the grid, because right now there is not a federal authority that will regulate and manage all that, and this new legislation aims to create that in order to have more certainty on how companies could get the rights that we need in order to cross railways, roads from the federal government in order to reach the grid. And finally, there is also a very interesting investment in electric vehicles. It's not my part of my business, but I thought that it will be interesting for you if some of the companies are in this sector. So I wanted to share with you also some practical takeaways. I'm from Spain. I came here in 2019 to develop a new career, I will say, and I started in this industry. And there are certain things that I would have loved that somebody who had explained me in my first day trying to figure out how renewable energy worked in the US. And I think that the first one is that US is one country, but with several power markets. That means that you don't have a single regulator in the country that manages all the power industry across the country. There, and you can see the map here. There are different areas, and each of them has their own regulator. They have the utility is different, so you have different prices. You have different kind of permits in order to build a project. You have a different system of metering. Then that is linked also to the next advice. I will say that you always need to analyze very well where your projects and your business is going to be located, because depending on the state, the regulation is very different. It's not the same to develop a project in Ohio than in Texas. The real estate matters are completely different. Taxes, minerals, for example, that are very important in Texas. And then finally, that you need, as I said, one of the best opportunities in the market right now is to take advantage of these tax credits. And for that, you need to design your project from the very beginning with your mind on that. And that means that you need to review not only if a project is good from a commercial point of view, but to involve all the areas of your company: finance, legal, commercial, development, from the very beginning. So I recommend that you do that from the beginning, because otherwise you can end up developing projects that cannot be successfully completed at the end. And I think that I didn't touch about the threats, and just to finish, I would like to touch base on certain restrictions to imports that it seems that are coming. And I put this in threats because I think that is also an opportunity for companies that are producing products for the renewable energy industry, because this new law is going to impose a lot of restrictions from countries that use forced labor, especially China, obviously. So right now, all the renewable energy companies, as is my case in Beigua, we are looking to develop our supply chain processes to make sure that we can control the traceability of all the materials that are used in our projects, to make sure that we can guarantee in the future that there's no material that has been provided from companies that used forced labor. And I'm saying this is a threat, as I see it, for developers, for example, because as you know, most of us, we use a lot of products coming from China. But I think that is a great opportunity for companies from Spain or from Europe, because you can guarantee that you comply with that full traceability that is going to be required in the future. So with this, I don't going to take much of the time, because I think that it's important that you have the opportunity to ask questions. Thanks again for the invitation and for the opportunity, Michael and Extenda, and thanks to my colleagues that I learned also a lot with you during this presentation. You have my contact details here. Feel free to email or to reach out if you have questions that it will be interesting to share. So thank you. And Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Impressive presentation. Thank you so much for your takeaways. Actually, I took many notes and I see many opportunities for our companies in Andalusia. So I'm really happy about it. Now we have the chance to open the question and answer session for our companies. So if anyone has a comment, a question, please feel free to ask to our presenters. And okay, perfect. Here we have the first question. Let's see. Which renewable energy source is the cheapest, and what are the limitations of renewable energy? So,
may I address that?
Yes, of course.
Hydroelectric is traditionally the lowest cost source of energy. Unfortunately, in the United States, due to environmental limitations and the limitations of a dam, that has lost favor over the last 30 years. Hydroelectricity is still the cheapest in our new technology that allows us to produce electricity on any water source, drastically reduces the cost of renewable energy to about 20% of solar and half the cost of wind energy. So from a cheap standpoint, that's true there. Plus, we don't have the land requirements that are required for solar or wind. We can produce the electricity on any water source, whether it's Lake Erie, just off the coast of Ohio, or whether it's Miami or the Pacific Ocean. We can produce water electricity anywhere in the world. We can operate 24/7. We can increase or decrease the power to meet consumer demand, and we don't destroy the grid because we're providing power at a constant 60 cycle hertz. So it works in concert with the electric grid that is present in so many countries, particularly in the US. So from my estimation, hydroelectricity, particularly ocean hydroelectricity, is the cheapest anywhere around.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Rick, for your insight. We have another company. They say that Texas and Florida are very convenient states for setting up photovoltaic projects. Is that true? Is that a possibility? Texas and Florida are the
I will take that one because we have a lot of projects in Texas, and I will say that yes, because you have a favorable weather, first of all, and also state regulation. But at the same time, I will say that right now, Texas is a challenging market because with the experience that we had this year with the winter storm, that there was curtailments and all that, the Texas government is preparing some bills they are going to jeopardize some of that regulation favorable for renewable energy projects, particularly solar and wind, and more precisely imposing some cost, the payment of some tariffs in order for the state government to be able to work on the reliability of the grid. So, and also the cost of developing a project in Texas are increasing because there was another event, a hailstorm, that increased a lot the cost of insurances because there was a very big project that was almost destroyed by that storm. So there are some, it's in general a good market, but I will say that challenging in these days after the events that we faced in the last year. So evolving market.
Okay, thank you very much, Carolina. I I have a question for Zach. Zach, you mentioned that in Ohio, there is a great demand for solar power and electric vehicle industry and energy and so on. And you mentioned also that you are the agency that recruits also international companies. So what is the process to enter this opportunity, this sector, this area? Can we connect with companies that manufacture components for these particular industries? Do they need to be there physically? Can they have a local partner? You can also help them with that, connecting, that type of thing, because I see a huge potential in Ohio. You mentioned that there is a huge demand, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael. So the process is pretty straightforward in that if there's a company that is interested in just better understanding the Ohio market from an economic development perspective in the renewable energy industry, you reach out directly to me and I would connect you with one of our team members the project managers. They will be able to provide you an incredible amount of data and information on the Ohio market, connect you with local businesses that are currently working in the market that you may want to partner with. Those are all services that our organization provides at no cost to companies who are interested in the Ohio market. So if you're a solar company that, say, makes the racking, so the metal racking, we'd be able to give you the data and information on the growth of this sector, where supply chain partners could be, what the cost of land is, what the cost of electricity is, be able to provide incentives from the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio has very generous incentives for new job creation in the state. So it's in a very attractive place to create a U.S.-based operation. But going back to your original question, Michael, it starts with connecting with our team, and then we can provide a whole lot of services to get you into a position as a company to make a confident decision if you'd like to expand your business in the U.S. and Ohio.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. We have another question. David from NTI is saying, what about the bureaucracy? Is it one of the most common problems for renewable energy companies that want to enter the US? Well, hopefully it's going to be less now, no? With this new administration.
Yeah, that is the promise.
Go down.
Certainly.
The tariffs are going down, right?
Yeah.
Which is
although the Biden administration has greased the wheels a little bit to make that easier, but it's still going to be an uphill battle.
Okay. I also have another question for you all. What is the bifacial modus? Can you explain a little bit more about that?
I can do it in a very no technical way. That is, models that can take the solar power from both sides of the models. So that's the way I understand it.
Okay, so then there is an opportunity because the tariffs are going to get reduced in that particular component. Exactly,
that's the expectation. There was an exemption that was cancelled by Trump, and now the expectation is that the ITC, this International Trade Court, put that exemption back after the petition of some of the actors in the industry. And also we hope that Biden, although he has upheld the exemption, the cancellation of the exemption until now, we expect that in the future he can implement a more beneficial tariffs system for those kind of models that right now are the ones that we are using most.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And Carolina, you mentioned that your company, BayWa, is also a solar distributor, right?
Correct.
It's one
correct.
Of the,
exactly.
well,
It's
for
one
us,
of the.
For us, distributors are our idols, you know, because we are always looking for connecting our companies from Andalusia to key distributors in the US. So that's important to know for our audience. And also,
I have a question
Andalusia is a powerhouse in solar.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a question for Zach because I'm not very familiar with the Ohio market, and I'm curious. Have you had experience with community aggregate PPAs in California? At least we are seeing one opportunity to sell energy to the market is not only to sell it to the utility or to corporations, but also to communities that are creating an aggregation, and they negotiate the PPA. PPA is a power purchase agreement, for those that are not familiar with these terms. And those communities are the one that, like, in a group, negotiate that with the companies like BayWa. Do you have experience on that in Ohio, and is that working well there? Because I think that is very interesting for
yes, Carolina, that a very good question, and I'm very excited to tell you that yes, we have a lot of experience in community choice aggregation in Ohio. In fact, Columbus just last year in 2020 passed community choice aggregation, and our program will be the third largest in the United States, which is really exciting. Third only to, I believe, the San Diego and LA County in California. I think those are the other two. But so Columbus has aggregated. The second largest city in Ohio, Cincinnati, has also recently aggregated. And then most of the cities in the northeastern part of the state, where Cleveland, which is the third largest city in Ohio, many of those communities have aggregated as well. Now, Columbus is the only one that is sourcing their entire aggregation from new renewable energy. So their aggregation will be procuring power from 700 megawatts of new solar and wind projects in the state of Ohio. Cincinnati and many of the other aggregations are currently buying a portion of their aggregation with renewable energy right now, but I expect that to, I think within the next 5 years, to get much more widely adopted. I think 100% renewable energy for community choice aggregation is going to be very common in Ohio over the next few years. So yes, we've seen a lot of work in that space. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, so that will attract renewable energy companies for sure. So yeah, good to know. Happy to hear that.
Good news indeed. And then we also have a general question. Angela is saying, can clean energy replace fossil fuels? Is that possible?
Absolutely. The trend is there. We're moving forward with that. With the emphasis on climate warming globally, it has to happen.
Yeah, and there are cities in the United States that have already replaced their fossil fuel at some point with renewable energy. It's, to Rick's point, a common trend, and it absolutely can be done, especially with hydroelectricity, as Rick was talking about. The Pacific Northwestern part of the United States has a high penetration of that resource, and we are replacing fossil fuels with renewables as we speak, and 100% adoption, transition to renewables is certainly possible within the next 10 to 15 years.
I think the question is how we can do that most cost effectively and with a minimum disruption in supply. I think the crisis in Texas recently demonstrated the problems that we have in the generation of electricity and the overriding cost of wind energy in particular in Texas. And that's where hydroelectric can replace that, because again, we're talking 70% of the Earth's surface to produce electricity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we can be more cost effective and provide more consistent, reliable power than we have been doing.
Thank you, Rick. Very interesting comment. Yeah. Well, I think that I don't see any more questions in our chat, but of course, the audience is going to have the presentations, and they are going to reach out to you, and this is going to be the beginning, hopefully, a good source of opportunity all over. Okay, in Texas, in Ohio, in New York, and the rest of the country. And please, Carolina, you wanted to say something.
No, because I know that there are perhaps some companies in the webinar that are focused on construction, and I know that in Andalusia and I think that there is a need of construction companies that can build
plants, right?
renewable energy projects. Exactly, because we are facing right now a huge increase in price and also lack of offer, because we have a project in California that construction will start in 2023, and there is one big company of construction that even rejected to make an offer, and because there are a lot of work in the industry due to all these new regulations. So I will encourage construction companies to come here to help us to build projects.
Absolutely. Now, this is, I raise my hand because now we can create a business opportunity, particularly for BayWa, with companies related to the industry that you just mentioned, construction and engineering and architecture and planning. Absolutely, yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Well,
thank you for putting this program together.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. I think that it's been very, very interesting. We are very optimistic after your presentations because we see opportunities, and we are a powerhouse in solar, in wind, in hydroelectric. So Andalusia needs to be there, okay? And Marina, I don't know if you want to say something.
I hope the presentation have been useful for the attending companies. I am not familiar with the renewables energy, but it has been so interesting for me and impressive. So thank you. Well, I would like to point out the webinar has been recorded, so it's possible to watch it again on Extenda TV. Thank you all for your attending, and of course, thank you Rick, Zaf, and Carolina for sharing your knowledge with us. Sorry. Thank you.
Truly a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.